Welcome to Phillip Island, Victoria in Australia. What a setting we have for this great sporting contest, the Little Penguin Sea to Dune race. Nervous moments always as they gather on the beach, the tension mounting, and away they go. There's the defending champion, wearing his familiar navy blue and white, great waddling style. Another pre-race favourite though, losing touch with the pack. Maybe that's why. A few too many fish in the day's feeding. There's a familiar face, Skip McIntyre, 8 times a champion back in the 90s, a very successful coach now, keeping a keen eye on proceedings. This the leading group, 1 or 2 still able to put on a show for the camera, others just ploughing straight over it. Some resorting to shortcuts. Sad that cheating has crept into this beautiful sport. The judges will have a look at that. But up at the front, the pace is relentless, closing in on those sand dunes that will offer a bed for the night. The fatigue starting to tell. Who's got the finishing kick up on the outside? What a turn of pace from that one, whichever one it is. No answer from the rest, and he takes victory. What a win. There we are, into the Burrow, building an extension with his winnings, and back tomorrow to try and defend his title here on Phillip Island.
And welcome to another night of live Penguin TV. My name is Jordan. I'm a ranger here at the Penguin Parade here on Phillip Island in Victoria, Australia. And what we're waiting for right at this very moment is for it to get dark enough that the smaller species of penguin, the little penguin, thinks that it's safe to come out from that ocean that we're looking at over there, cross the beach and make their way back to their burrows here in the biggest penguin colony, the biggest little penguin colony in the world. So very excited. It's probably still got a little bit of a wait before these little creatures decide that they reckon it'll be safe to come home. But I wanted to introduce you to my assistant tonight, who is...
Hello everybody, I'm Ranger T, so I'll be the producer tonight, checking on all of the questions on Facebook and YouTube, trying to get some really curly ones so we can stump Jordan.
Not too hard, please.
I'll try not to. I'll make them interesting though. But what I do want to do is do a big shout out to Wonga Park Primary School, grade 3 and 4 that are watching us tonight.
Hey Wonga Park Primary!
Hi, how you going? So unfortunately they've tried to come down here twice before on an excursion and they've had to cancel due to all of the lockdowns. Really enjoy tonight's episode and be able to come and see us one day in the not too distant future.
Yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed. Thank you, T.
The other quick thing...
don't go away yet, come back in.
Other quick thing, everybody have a think about numbers from last night, see how close your guesses are. We'll give you a couple of minutes and then we'll announce the numbers.
We will. We'll do a drum roll and we will let you all know how many penguins crossed the beach last night. Now, if this is your first time watching live Penguin TV, you might be thinking, counting what? Counting penguins? Counting penguins how? What? So we have been counting penguins at the Penguin Parade nearly every single night since 8, and it's part of the longest penguin survey in the world, which is really, really cool. And our regular waddle watchers or people who are fans of the live stream always want to know how many penguins crossed the beach the night before. So Ranger T has the number. She'll be monitoring the comments and maybe if you're lucky finding someone who has the closest guess. I heard her take an in breath I reckon she might have seen someone who's pretty close, so keep an eye out, T. But yeah, we'll give you a couple of more seconds to get your guesses in, and then T will let us know how many crossed the beach last night and who was the closest guess in the comments. Now, while we are waiting, it is still a little bit light. It's still a bit bright and early for the penguins home. And it looks like we've got a raven hanging out just over here. Now, these guys aren't a threat to the little penguins, but quite love to eat a penguin egg. So while this bird over here isn't going to be a huge threat to a fully grown penguin, they are going to be a little bit wary of this guy. But as I mentioned, we are waiting for the penguins to start making their way home, and they only do that under the cover of darkness because these are the smallest of the 18 species of penguins in the world, and because they're so small, they're not very good at defending themselves against big predatory birds when they start crossing that open sandy beach. Now, I will say it is looking a little bit blurry out there tonight. I think we do have a little bit of a sea mist on our hands, so the camera may not be quite as clear as what it normally is. I'm sorry, we can't control the climate, we can't control the weather. Try my best to make sure we get some good footage of our penguins when they do start to come home. But before we jump into any more penguin fun and penguin facts and stories, I just wanted to stop and acknowledge the land on which we are bringing the penguins to you today. So of course, as I mentioned, we are here on Phillip Island, also known as Milau, home to the Bunurong, the traditional lands of the Bunurong, who are part of the Kulin Nation. We like to pay present and emerging and acknowledge them as the traditional custodians and the way in which they've cared for country over so many thousands of years. And we have an absolutely beautiful island to call home here on Phillip Island. And our records show that the Bunurong were coming over to Phillip Island to Milau seasonally, only taking what they needed from this land so that the ecosystem was healthy, so that they lived in harmony with the plants, the animals, the penguins, and environments as well. So that's one of the things that we try to encourage everyone at home, whether you come and visit us at the Penguin Parade or if you're tuning in to Live Penguin TV, we want you to think about different ways that you can reduce your impact on the earth, on the environment, and you can live a little bit more sustainably like the Bunurong of the Kulin Nation. So thank you very much in advance for that. I want to acknowledge any First Nations people who might be joining everyone for trying to minimise, doing their little bit to try and make sure that they have a less of a footprint on the world as well. Now, so T, I've still writing something down. Do we have some close guesses from our Wattle Watchers tonight for how many penguins crossed the beach yesterday?
We do have a very close guess from one of our Wattle Watchers, Marg.
Hey Marg, good job.
So she guessed 1210, so 1210.
Ooh.
And the number last night was 1203.
1,203 penguins. You were 7 penguins off, Marg. That is very, very impressive. Well done. So with this stream tonight is going to be, well, let's be honest, probably going to go at least till 7 o'clock tonight because I'm here with you all and cannot stop talking about penguins, even if I really try. But we are counting penguins for 50 minutes every single night at the Penguin Parade. So this live stream won't be going for the full count tonight. So if you are wanting to know how many penguins cross the beach tonight, you are just going to have to tune in on, what's today? Wednesday. You have to tune in on Saturday because that is the next day that we are doing. So yes, if you're really, really keen, you'll just have to tune in then to find out more. So now it's literally just about penguins are going to be washing up on Phillip Island just now. Sometimes we're lucky enough and we can see the groups of penguins out in the water or a raft of penguins. So a group of penguins out at sea is called a raft because they float on the surface of the water like a raft, but it's a little bit choppy out there tonight. So I might have a little bit of a look out in the ocean. I hope no one's feeling too seasick. But when the penguins are out at sea, they can be a little bit tricky for us to see because these little penguins that we are going to be watching coming home tonight are the only penguins in the world with blue feathers. So that helps them camouflage against the surface of the water. So if there's any scary predatory birds flying around during the day, then they can't really spot them against the surface of the water. So they're very, very well camouflaged when they're out in the ocean. So when we can't actually see them kind of rafting in, even though it's a really cool thing to see if it's a really still night and there's not too many waves, it's really cool, but that means they are more visible to any aerial predators that might be out and about. And if you were watching live Penguin TV a week and a half ago, I can't remember exactly when it was, the penguins were visited by a scary predatory bird, which we still don't know. Oh, hang on. Have I spotted some? We still don't know the identity of that bird. So is this? I think we might have some penguins. They are surfing the waves in. I spoke too soon. I didn't think I'd be able to see them. But they look like they are making their way in. You can see them kind of like porpoising out of the water. So they will be arriving momentarily. Welcome home, everybody. So they know that at a similar light level every single night, those predatory birds usually go to bed for the evening, which means these penguins, you can see them swimming through the waves. They can cross the open sandy beach and they don't have to worry about getting eaten as they do make their little dangerous dash. So I think, now tonight's penguin counters are Kathleen and Tom. And so I believe they at the moment will be having a pair of binoculars and looking for any rafts of penguins that are washing up on the edge of the water. And they will start counting the penguins once 5 or more get to the halfway point on the beach. Because usually, and when I say usually, it's not always the case, but generally when they get to the halfway point on the beach, they know there's no point in turning back. So the penguin counters who are just using their eyesight through a pair of binos aren't going to double count them. So hopefully if Kathleen and Tom aren't too busy counting tonight, they might be able to send through the number of penguins in this small little raft, which is now a waddle of penguins, or a group if you want to be boring and technical, but we like calling them a waddle of penguins here at the Penguin Parade. But yeah, in the comments, let us know how many penguins you think might be in this little waddle, and if our penguin counters aren't too busy, hopefully they'll let us know how many are in this group. Now, T's looking at me. I feel like she wants to say something. What's going on?
Tom's about to declare it.
Surely that's a start now, or is he too busy counting? Yes,
He's counting.
Surely it's a start of the count at, what is it? 6:36 p.m. Phillip Island, Victoria time. So they were 4 minutes later tonight than what they were last night. I think, T, you said it was 6:32 last night? Yep, beautiful. So the conditions must be a little bit brighter tonight, so they've decided just to wait a little bit extra and come across the shore under the cover of darkness. So welcome home, everybody. They have done their dangerous little dash, and it'll be interesting to see if some of these penguins are going to decide to have a little bit of a break, or if they are going to soldier on back to their burrows. And it's a very exciting time to be at the Penguin Parade at the moment, because we have just had an absolute boom of eggs in the colony. Oh, I'm sorry about the sea mist, everybody. It's a little bit blurry. Yeah, so there's lots and lots of eggs in the colony, so a lot of penguins will be coming home to switch over duties, incubating their eggs, keeping their little eggies nice and warm, and mum and dad will both take it in turns, sitting on their eggs for about 35 days until two little brown chickies hatch out of those eggs. So it's still a little bit early in the breeding season to see any chicks around about kind of coming out of their burrow. They start to kind of venture outside their burrow after about 2 or 3 weeks of age, when they get a little bit bigger and a little bit braver. So we are watching fully grown adult penguins making their way home tonight. But again, these are the smallest of the 18 species of penguins in the world, the little penguin, the littlest penguins. And but yeah, their chicks are much, much smaller, which is very, very cute. Now, I did mention, or Therese mentioned, that we do have Wonga Park Primary watching this live stream, and I believe they have a few questions that they would love to have answered. So we're going to be answering a few of the kids' questions tonight. Oh, I might switch over to the Penguin Highway because it looks like we've got a few friends going on there. But yeah, so get your questions in on Facebook and YouTube. T will also be checking the comments there. So we're going to have lots and lots of questions here on the live stream tonight. So get your questions in. But remember, we do usually get lots and lots of people asking their questions. We can't get to every single person, but if you're desperate to have a question of yours answered, you'll just have to tune in next time. Absolutely. So I'd also, before I ask for a question from T, she's just listening to something in her radio. So I think she may potentially have a number for us of the amount of penguins that were in that first little waddle.
This is Tina Tom. Have you got a number on that first group?
Oh, no, we don't. That's all good. Hang on. Oh no, we've still got some little friends coming along on the highway. These guys are a little bit late, and I love watching these penguins on the highway. Oh my God, you can see how light it is outside still. I've never actually quite noticed that on the live stream camera before. You can kind of see just up a little bit further. But yeah, here on the highway, we get to see their own little unique waddling styles. Some of them are a little bit more upright. Some of them look like they're waddling with their bellies on the ground. So yeah, every little penguin, although they do look quite similar, they do have their own unique individual personalities. Now, I think we may have confirmed a number. Is that right, T?
We sure have. So we had 141 in that first group.
Ooh, 141 penguins in that first group. Oh, and I'm going to flick back to our main camera because it looks like we've had a few more friends wash up here on the water's edge. So every single night, it can take up to about 3 hours for all the penguins to start crossing the beach because some of them are really keen beans. They want to get home nice and early, and other ones are a little bit more nervous, or they might have been swimming a little bit further away and it's just taken them a little bit longer to get back to Summerland Bay where we are, or Summerland Beach, where we are just here in front of the Penguin Parade. So these guys are going to disappear behind the bushes in just a moment and they will appear back on the resting rocks. Oh, there's a few stragglers at the back. Oh, one is said that is a big fat jar of nope. We are heading right back in, but in a moment these guys will be hanging out on the rocks. Oh, and there's one little face. So I think it might be time to have a question from Wonga Primary T. Can I have stump me with a question?
Okie dokie. So Ben wants to know, are the penguins all totally wild or are they trained a little bit for humans to watch?
Oh, very interesting question, Ben. So all of the penguins that we have here on Phillip Island are totally wild. We don't train them whatsoever. If anything, they train us. Here at the Penguin Parade, our shift start times are completely reliant on what time we think the penguins are going to cross the beach, and sometimes they trick us and they come in extra early, and sometimes they might even be keeping us waiting a little bit longer. So no, they are totally wild penguins. We haven't trained them in any way whatsoever, but you do kind of notice the difference in penguins that hang around at the Penguin Parade that have grown up with people, walking around on the boardwalks and watching them make their way home at night. Compared to other penguins in kind of quieter areas of the colony, they react a little bit more strongly to people. So while these penguins that we're seeing here tonight are totally wild, they're just a little bit more used to people. But yeah, we don't train them whatsoever, Ben. But thank you for that question. So we've been getting lots and lots of guesses coming in, T, for the amount of penguins in each little waddle.
Yeah, we have had a few guesses.
Yeah.
A couple are relatively close.
Very good. We've got some expert penguin counters among us.
I think we might lose a job.
Oh, no. Take it back. I don't want your guesses. No. Wonderful. But yeah, keep getting those guesses in and keep asking all of those wonderful questions as well. Oh, I reckon we're going to have some more friends on the Penguin Highway. Yep, here they come rounding the corner. They are on a mission. So here, just like us, these little penguins, they've got their own kind of address. They've got their own burrow or their own nesting box, which they will always make their way back to. Sometimes, just like us, they do decide to change it up a little bit. Oh, look at their little pink feet. And they yeah, so sometimes they do change where they live, but typically they're always heading back to the same burrow. So this kind of highway, they know that it's a nice... Oh, what are they looking at up there? Do you see them all looking off to the left? Maybe there was a penguin making a grand gesture or making a very, very loud voice. Trace is just going, woo, woo. Because the penguin colony does get very, very loud here at the Penguin Parade, especially during the breeding season when penguins are trying to kind of woo any potential mates. Oh, and I reckon we've got a nice sizable wattle hanging out over here. But, sorry, I keep getting distracted, but penguins heading up the highway, that is kind of their highway number 1. It's one of the most popular penguin pathways here at the Penguin Parade, and they know the exit to the highway. They know, yep, I go left at the tree, right at the rock, over the hill, and they just memorize the way back home, just like we do when we need to get, to our house, to work, to school, wherever you might be going. If you've got that path memorized, same with these little penguins over here as well. So, yep, we've got, this must be, I think, the 3rd wattle that started to cross the beach. And do we have any numbers or any more questions, T?
Want to do another shout out.
Lovely.
To Berwick Lodge, Year 3. They were supposed to come down this week as well, and unfortunately, due to the lockdowns, they couldn't. So, hopefully, Berwick Lodge, you can come back and visit us down the track as well.
Absolutely. So Berwick Lodge and Wonga Park Primary was meant to come and visit us here at the Penguin Parade. But of course, that isn't quite possible just at the moment with these restrictions. I'm so sorry about the sea mist we've got tonight, everybody. I think it's a little bit better if we zoom in on them. But yeah, we normally get lots and lots of schools coming to visit us here at the Penguin Parade, and us rangers absolutely love it. Kids of, well, anyone is excited to see penguins here at the Penguin Parade, aren't they, T? But especially school kids. So we're really looking forward to being able to invite the rest of Victoria, the rest of Australia, and the rest of the world eventually back with us here when it is safe to do so. So at the moment we do have regional Victoria allowed to come and visit us here at the Penguin Parade. We are open on Friday, Saturday, Sundays for regional Victoria, and we're hoping that we'll be able to open up to Metro Melbourne soon as well, but we're going to be open all school holidays as well, which will be absolutely lovely. But yeah, I hope you guys watching the live stream tonight, I know it's not the same thing as seeing the penguins here in person, but I hope you'll learn a little bit tonight and we get to answer some of those questions for you. But yeah, super excited to be able to invite you back when it is safe to do so. Look at them coming along the highway. I think we might spend a little bit more time on the highway tonight because the our sea fog is being a little bit disagreeable with our camera that's kind of facing all of the elements out towards the beach. But this is a really, really cute vantage point that we get to see on the penguins as well. So I reckon it might be time for another question or something. T, what do we think?
I think you're right.
Excellent.
So Eden and Harper would like to know, how long do they stay underwater?
Oh, Eden and Harper, great question. They can stay underwater much longer than what I can. So the longest we have ever recorded a penguin holding its breath for was just under 2 minutes. It was about 1 minute and 56 seconds. And that penguin was diving, it was flapping its flippers so quickly. So you can imagine it's kind of like holding your breath for 2 minutes, but running as fast as you can for that entire time. So it's a really, really tricky job to be able to hold your breath. And these little penguins have to hold their breath when they do dive, and they're looking for food in the ocean. So they only eat seafood, so they always have to dive for fish and squid and jellyfish, all that yummy things. So yeah, at the moment, the record is just under 2 minutes, but who knows? Some of these penguins, we might not have a little tracking logger on them. So some of them might even be able to kind of beat that record and we won't even know it. So hello, little one. You can see all their little poos on the highway as well. Oh, in fact, hang on. What have we got going on over here? We have a stray penguin who looks like she might be going against the grain. If this penguin continues down the penguin highway the opposite way to the rest of these penguins, that is most likely something called a shell gritter. A female penguin with eggs inside her, and she's getting ready to lay. Oh, there we go. And we've got another one as well. Very good. Yeah, this is a sign that they're getting ready to lay their eggs, because female penguins, a couple of days before they're about to lay, they head down to the beach to nibble on little bits of seashells for calcium to help make their eggshells nice and strong. So it's a little mothers group that we have going on just there, which is very, very cute. So if you see any penguins tonight going the opposite way, it is most likely that they are a shell gritter or a mama penguin to be, which is very, very, very exciting. So yes, keep those questions coming on in. And oh my goodness, it's already nearly been 30 minutes. My goodness, I can talk. Feels like it's only been 5.
So, quick question.
Let's have it.
Bella would like to know, is there an advantage to the penguins being so tiny?
Oh, is there an advantage to the penguins being so tiny? Was it Bella?
Yes.
Well, these little penguins that we have here on Phillip Island, the ones that we're watching right now, are the only species that we actually have here in Australia. So the advantage of being the smallest penguin in the world is that you can live in warmer climates, because it's easier to keep yourself nice and cool. If you've seen the movie Happy Feet, or if you've seen any documentaries or movies with penguins down in Antarctica, they have to be really, really big. Those emperor penguins, Adelie penguins, king penguins, they're much bigger and they can keep themselves nice and warm. These little penguins would not be able to cope in the really, really cold Antarctic climate all the way down in the South Pole. Oh, it looks like we've got another shell gritter making her way down the pathway. We'll be able to kind of keep an eye on her. Very, very good. So yes, it helps them keep nice and cool in these warmer Australian climates. Oh, got a bit of a fight going on, did we? A bit of territorial behavior. This is my house, you stay away. This is my girl. Because okay, sorry, I'm going to come back. I've got a part two for that question. Penguins are what we call socially monogamous, so they typically pair up with the same breeding partner year after year, but sometimes when they're unsupervised, they do tend to visit secret boyfriends and girlfriends on the way. But if their breeding partner is nice and close, then sometimes there can be a little bit of a fight between the two males. And oh my goodness, girl, you are going right through the middle of these penguins. Look at you go. Oh, yep, you've found a way. Oh, you're showing off now, aren't you? She's like, nah, not having a bar of you. I want to go down to the beach and get my calcium for the evening. So you get it, girl. You go get those calcium supplements, because female penguins are very selfless, because they actually strip the calcium from their bones in order to make their eggshells nice and strong. So this is another mama penguin getting ready to head down to the beach. Oh, and some lovely poo. And she's going too quick for my camera. We'll catch up with her in just a moment. All the poo. Oh, and another penguin. No, there she is. Very good. Oh, and she's going to get blocked on the way back home by another wattle that's coming up. Now, I believe so the question was, is there an advantage to being the smallest?
Yep.
Very good. So while these penguins are the smallest penguins in the world, around Phillip Island, they're actually the top predator, which might seem a little bit strange, because we do have a large colony of about 20,000 Australian fur seals off the coast of the Nobbies, off at Seal Rocks. But they aren't a threat to these little penguins. They don't like munching on these little penguins. So these little penguins don't have to worry about the seals. We do quite often get some big scary sharks gracing our presence, and you have to be a little bit careful when you're going for a swim, especially if there's been a shark sighting. But because these little penguins are so small, it's not even like a chicken nugget for one of those big great white sharks or those white pointer sharks. So it's not a chicken nugget, so it's not worth the shark's time to go for a tasty treat and try and snack on a penguin. So they're actually pretty safe here around Phillip Island. It's when they head out into the Bass Strait, when they head a little bit further out up towards Tasmania. That's when they'll encounter leopard seals and long-nosed fur seals, and those would love to eat a penguin for sure. But these little penguins also have another neat little adaptation which helps them camouflage in the water. You might remember me talking about how the penguins have blue feathers on their back, so that helps them camouflage against the surface of the water. But I don't know if you've ever dived into a pool or into the ocean, opened up your eyes and had a look at the surface of the water where there's the sun streaming down or there's clouds above, but the surface of the water looks white. And when we saw these little penguins starting to make their way in that little raft, you saw that their bellies was kind of facing the underside of the water. What are you doing here? Are you looking at your reflection? Sorry. I'm talking about a beautiful white belly. So these are facing below, they're facing the... Oh, you are chatting away. You can see it opening its beak. So yeah, anything looking up at the surface of the water, and if the penguin's floating on top, oh, yeah, chat. Look at you. Oh, and look at your beautiful chest. You are making some very loud calls trying to woo any potential females around the place. Yes. Oh, and you've got to make sure you look beautiful. Absolutely. So yes, lots of... Oh, where are you going? Oh, you look like you're showing off. Look at that arched head. What are you up to? Oh, I'm invested in this penguin now. So yes, little penguins are... Oh, yes, you are showing off. This is my home. This is my territory. Yes, I wonder if it means that it might be waiting for a female to come home, or maybe the female's already at home, or just kind of flexing its penguiny muscles. Who knows? Did I answer that question properly?
You did indeed.
Okay, sorry. I kept getting very, very distracted.
Levi wants to know...
Very good.
Are the penguins on Phillip Island dangerous?
Are the penguins on Phillip Island dangerous? So the short answer, Levi, is no, they're not. Oh, hang on. Although this might show otherwise. We've got something interesting going on there. Not sure if that was a mating display or if that was a territorial fight. But this penguin is definitely still, it has its flippers back, so I'm going to try and focus back. Oh, you can see it's got its flippers out, making it try to look really, really big and really impressive. So to us, because these little penguins are about 33 centimeters tall, look, you're going back into your burrow, I think. Because they are only 33 centimeters tall, they can't really do too much damage to us. But they have very, very sharp beaks and very, very sharp claws. And one of the things I found when we've had to handle penguins, if they're sick or injured or for research purposes, they know where the soft spots are on your hand, don't they, T? Yep. Yeah, they know to get right in between your fingers, at your fingertips, which are really, really sensitive. Yeah, I think we've all been bitten on the finger by a penguin. Well, I think we've got a few more friends coming on up the highway. And the male penguins actually have a very distinct hook at the end of their beak, which they use to help them catch fish and hold on to fish and collect nesting material. Stop telling me there's 5 minutes to go. I'm trying to ignore you, T.
It's 5 minutes Jordan time.
5 minutes Jordan time. Okay, we've got an extra 10 minutes to go. I think we've still got plenty more questions that we can answer tonight, don't we? Beautiful.
We do.
So, no, penguins are not deadly to us, but they might be dangerous because they might try and bite us, or any other penguin or any other animal which might be kind of invading its privacy. We've seen penguins try to attack geese before. I don't know if we've seen any geese on the live stream tonight. I might flick back to the main. Again, I'm sorry about that sea mist we've got, everybody, but it looks like we've had another little group of penguins, another little waddle. And if you can see through the blur, looks like there's a female penguin, a shell gritter going the opposite way. But it is very tricky with this sea mist tonight. So What am I saying? I am talking about the dangers of penguins, and I still had another story which I wanted to share with you. So, sharp beak, sharp claws, they're not going to severely injure you, but you might get a little bit of a bruise. Lord knows I've had lots and lots of bruises from handling penguins, but I would say that the most dangerous part of a penguin is not the beak, it's its bottom. Because these little penguins poo at the highest velocity of any animal in the world. So they are projectile pooers. They poo really, really, really quickly. And if you're ever, I just want to say, if you ever find yourself in the position of holding a penguin, you really want to make sure that its bottom is not facing anybody else. I've been on the receiving end of that when one of our rangers, oh look at this little one hanging out over here. One of our rangers, Megan, I was kind of holding it from behind and it pooped like straight on my tummy. And penguin poo is really fishy, it's really, really smelly, and you have to wash your clothes at least twice because it's very, very tricky to get that smell out. So again, while they're not super dangerous, they're dangerous to your laundry for sure. All right, let's have maybe a couple more questions and we'll try to drag out the live stream for as long as we can before the lights get turned off on us now. I think we've still got a fair bit of time before that happens. All right, let's have another question, T.
Well, easy question for you.
Fabulous. I love the easy questions. Wait, are you tricking me? Is it going to be is it going to be a hard one?
I've got a couple of more difficult ones down the track, but...
Oh my God, she's enabling me to keep going. She's got a couple more questions. How good is that?
Chloe wants to know what's the largest number of penguins that have come home in a night?
Chloe. So the largest number of penguins, so you might remember me saying earlier in the night that we do actually count these little penguins whenever they cross the beach for 50 minutes. And because these little guys can spend anywhere from 1 day up to about 4 or 5 weeks out in the ocean at a time, we get different numbers of penguins crossing the beach every single night. We've never had 0 penguins crossing the beach. The least amount there's ever been was 8 cross the beach in 50 minutes, and there was a really, really dense sea fog. We've only got a mild sea fog or sea mist here tonight. But the largest number of penguins we ever had crossing the beach, Chloe, was 4,398. That would have just been an absolutely crazy night because that was, I think, right in the heart of the breeding season, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. Do you know? I can't remember.
It was on the 17th of December, about 5 years ago.
17th of December, 5 years ago, so coming up to the 5-year anniversary. And the reason that we get lots more penguins starting to cross the beach during that time is because that's when all the chicks are hatching. That's when there's lots of hungry chicks at home and they're waiting for mum and dad to go from the ocean and bring them back a nice big belly full of delicious seafood. So they regurgitate it to their chicks. And it's important that their chicks get fed quite regularly. Oh, big yawn for you. So yeah, when the chicks are really little, usually for the first 2 weeks of a little chickie's life, mum will stay at home and dad will go out, and then he'll come back that night, and then they'll keep switching over duties. And there's always going to be a parent with them for about the first 2 weeks of their life. And then after that, that means mum and dad can actually spend both spend a day out in the ocean together or alone if that's what they want to do. And the chickies are left home alone. So, yeah, we get different numbers of penguins coming home every single day of the year. But when there's lots of chicks in the colony, when mum and dad need to come back more frequently to feed their little babies, that's when we get the higher numbers of penguins crossing the beach and making their way home. So thank you for that one, Chloe. Looks like we've got a few more friends coming up the highway, and T's making some hand gestures at me. Have we got another question or a comment? Or
one last comment.
Love it.
Because a lot of the water watchers are being very clever, like us, watching on dual screens.
Are we?
Watching the news. And they're all commenting on our amazing news about the bandicoots.
Yes. So we haven't seen... sorry. It looks like we've got a little bit of a hoppy penguin here on the highway. I might just have to talk about our little friend here for a little moment. Oh, it looks like we've got a little bit of a limp. Oh, you poor darling. Now, don't want anyone to fret at home. This is quite common. I can't follow you. Although maybe if you're a little bit slower. So quite often these little penguins, they do come in with a little bit of a limp if they kind of, you're a very hoppy penguin, aren't you? You're so cute. Look, everyone, it is actually okay. It's a really fat penguin, which means it can find food. Oh, that one just pooed. Oh my gosh, so much to talk about. Yeah. If they're nice, fat and healthy, it means that they're really good at finding food, and that's the biggest kind of threat to little penguins. The thing that determines their survival is how much food how much food there is, or their ability to find food. So sometimes we do get penguins come in with a little bit of a sore leg, but if they are really good at moving in the colony, you're going to have a little bit of a rest. If they can cross the beach and if they can make their way home, even if they do look a little bit awkward, we tend to leave them, because it is, while these, as I mentioned, was it Levi's question? No, someone asked if they were wild. Because these are wild penguins.
Ben.
Who?
It was Ben.
Ben! Thank you, Ben. Because these are wild penguins, it is very stressful for us to handle them unnecessarily. So if this one, because it's looking nice and chunky and it's moving, even though it's a little bit awkward, it's moving okay, we would leave this penguin just because taking it out of its familiar environment, taking it into our little wildlife hospital, it's a very stressful experience for the penguins, and it's not very good for their health. So we usually only take penguins to our little wildlife clinic. Oh, we've got a shell gritter coming down the highway. We only take them to our little hospital if we don't think they're going to survive without us giving them some medicine and some TLC. So while it does look a little bit awkward, I don't want you guys to worry too much about this penguin. I wonder if it's getting a little bit of a preen, a little bit of love from this friend over here. But yeah, so we do quite often get penguins crossing the beach with a little bit of a limp. It is totally normal. They are really, really robust, tough birds. So because it's fat and healthy, because it's making some good movements, I don't want anyone to be too worried about this little dude. It probably just needs a little bit of a rest tonight and should be ready to head back out in the morning. So if you are concerned, or if you do want to help us with rescuing and rehabilitating penguins and other penguins, other native animals, you can donate to the Penguin Foundation, and the link is in the description of this video. By adopting a penguin or making a donation, that actually goes towards funding our wildlife clinic, again, where we do look after sick and injured penguins and other animals. So yeah, if there's something that you really, really want to do to help out these little guys, that's a lovely thing that you can do as well. And you're gonna have a look at that poo. You're looking at the camera. Hello. Look at those beautiful blue feathers. And T is making some more hand gestures at me. What's going on? One question or 1 minute?
1 minute.
1 minute. Please. Oh, actually, it is a little bit late. I probably should only go for another minute. All right, let's have I feel like I was in the middle of answering something else, but now...
Talking about our bandicoot news.
Bandicoots! Well, I had just had something else that I needed to chat about. I'm sorry, T. So, we do have some very, very exciting news. We have something here on Phillip Island called the Eastern Barred Bandicoot, which is a little marsupial, which means it's got a pouch like a kangaroo or a wallaby or a koala where it raises its joeys. And they were released on Phillip Island in this colony here along with the penguins back in 2017. And the reason they were released here on Phillip Island is because we're fox free, which is really great, not only for the penguins, but lots of our other native wildlife that we have here on Phillip Island, here on Midlau. So because we're fox free, it was a perfect environment to be able to release these little bandicoots. So they're kind of like the size of a small rabbit. They've got a pointy nose, a little tail, and a stripy little bottom, which is why they're called the Eastern Barred Bandicoot. And one of the reasons that they were released here on Phillip Island, again, because they were fox free, they wanted to start establishing wild populations because unfortunately these little bandicoots were classified as extinct in the wild on mainland Australia, which is no good because the introduction of cats, dogs and foxes, as well as the destruction of their grassland habitat, greatly reduced their numbers, so much so that I think it's 42. That was the total number of wild remaining bandicoots. So we've got over 300 bandicoots living now here on Phillip Island in with the penguins. And recently they've been introduced to lots of other wonderful places to help establish those wild populations. But the exciting news is that their species classification has been downgraded from extinct in the wild to endangered. So I know that still probably doesn't sound too great, but it is fantastic for the Eastern Bar bandicoots when there was only 42 left of them in the wild.
And it's such a big achievement because they've actually skipped a step in the endangered criteria.
They've skipped a step. That's awesome.
So they've gone from extinct in the wild to missed critically endangered, went straight over to endangered.
Little champions our bandicoots are. So we haven't seen any bandicoots now, or at least I haven't been able to spot them here on the live stream. But if you're really curious to see what a bandicoot might look like, just chuck into Google Eastern Barred Bandicoot and you'll be able to figure out what we are talking about. They kind of look a little bit like a bilby, if you know what that is. But yeah, we've been involved in helping to bring back these beautiful little marsupials back from the brink of extinction. So it warms your heart, and it's through people like you guys coming to visit us here at the Penguin Parade at the Koala Conservation Reserve, Churchill Island Heritage Farm, and the Nobby's Antarctic Journey. We're a visitor-funded non-for-profit conservation organisation, so we get our funds to protect nature for wildlife, to protect penguins, to create a beautiful island haven for Eastern Barred bandicoots through people like you coming to visit us when it is safe to do so. So a huge, huge thank you to everyone who, by coming to visit us, has helped to support us in our conservation education and research. We're really, really looking forward to having you guys back when it is safe to do so. And just remember that you help pay for us to work with these wonderful creatures, and you're also helping us to protect them as well. So a huge, huge thank you. I just can't say enough how much we appreciate all of your support over the years, and I hope many, many years into the future as well. And when you do come and visit us here at the Penguin Parade, I really hope that you guys get to see an Eastern Barred bandicoot, because they are the cutest little critters, aren't they? And in fact, T, I believe you were out bandicoot monitoring the other night. Is that so?
I was out bandicoot trapping last night. Yes.
Ah, there we go. So T had a late night. What time did you get home? Because bandicoots are nocturnal. They only come out when it's dark.
Oh, we had an early night. It was about midnight.
That is pretty early for bandicoot monitoring. Sometimes you might get home at like 4 a.m.
Yep.
It's crazy late. So great work. Thanks for coming and spending the night with me here, T, and trying to keep me in line. Now, I can't see any more penguins. Oh, there might be one kind of hanging out at the beach. Is there no one at the rocks? Oh my gosh, no, I wanted to have my camera on some penguins before. Hang on a minute. We can't finish the stream without... Wait, wrong camera. Hang on a moment. Are there any friends hanging out on the highway? Oh, yes, there we go. We've got to say goodbye on the live stream with some penguins on the screen. So a huge, again, thanks so much for everybody for tuning in tonight. Thanks so much to Wonga Park Primary, who's watching this live stream. We hope you've enjoyed your night and you've learned a little bit more about penguins, and we can't wait to have you guys back here as well. And I think there was also another school in Berwick, was it?
There was, yep.
Beautiful.
Berwick Lodge.
Berwick Lodge. So thank you. Oop. There's a very territorial penguin. Oh, that's a bit mean. Look how much you're biting that penguin.
Bit of tough love.
Bit of tough love. Again, this is... Oh, did you see it just run? Just run. That is one... That penguin has... Oh, no, hang on. Wait. Look what I've spotted. Even though it's going to be a little bit blurry because of the sea fog, we've got some friends hanging out here as well. Okay, so thank you to Wonga Park Primary, to Berwick Lodge, and everyone who has tuned in tonight. We are running this live stream next on Saturday, I believe, so tune in, same time, same place. If you want to know how many penguins crossed the beach tonight, you'll just have to tune in on Saturday. And do yourself a favour and Google an Eastern Barred bandicoot. We do have a wonderful document on our website called Nature Notes Eastern Bar Bandicoot if you want to learn a little bit more about these beautiful little marsupials, which are now endangered, not critically endangered, not extinct in the wild, just plain old endangered. Oh gosh, that sounds terrible. But no, it's a really, really great story, and we're lucky that the penguins and the bandicoots, look, they're not friends, they're not enemies, they just kind of tolerate each other, but they do live quite peacefully here at the Penguin Parade. So I think that is me dragging on the live stream for as long as I possibly can tonight.
Definitely a Jordan 5 minutes.
It was probably, oh God, I think that was 15 or so minutes. My goodness, I can talk. Alrighty, T, come in and we have to say goodbye in typical penguin language, which is to say huck huck. And that's usually how penguins greet each other out in the water when they're forming their rafts and they're getting ready to head home. But we are going to say goodbye in penguin language, and we will see you next time.
Huck, huck.